last 2 years have been particularly taxing. They're marked by uncertainty and, unfortunately, for too many, heartbreaking loss. So how are we going to navigate this going forward? COVID is still going to be with us for a while. How do we slow down, pause, and navigate our way through something that remains to be difficult? I certainly like to read and walk, especially our campus. It gives me time to reflect. I also listen to good podcasts, and I drop in and see people day and night. So it reminds me of how special this place is, and it is because of remarkable people like all of you who care about one another and care about this place's future. So Paige, I much appreciate your listing the principles that we're going to follow in our strategic plan: putting students first, taking care of our people, inspiring ingenuity, ensuring greater trust, transparency, and accountability. And as a diverse and divided country, what is the University of Kentucky going to do to learn how we best and how we demonstrate to others to bring together many people in one community? And I want to talk about at a little more depth, and I'm filled with questions about this and hope to hear what you've learned through your time together today about taking care of our people. You know, I think today I'll send out another email to the campus about the progress we've made in vaccinations, urging people to take their boosters, and what we've tried to do, what we've tried to extend, and that is make it easy to be safe. Here we have 90% of our campus community vaccinated. Even with a new variant rearing its head, this is the safest thing we can do to protect ourselves and those around us. And I think it's a reflection of how much we care for each other. I often say that history will judge us during this period by the answer to the question, did we care? And day after day after day, I see that we do care. We care for each other and our community. But it hasn't been easy. Think about it. We have focused on sort of illness and death, the number of cases, the number of hospitalizations, those individuals who have succumbed, long COVID, sequela from this disease. But when we talk about taking care of our people so we can better take care of the people we serve, I think we have to think about that term well-being and what does it mean? It's not simply about illness and death. It is living a life of meaning and purpose. We all have this continuum of health we experience individually and as a society that at the top scale has us contributing to society in meaningful ways, enjoying our work to do so, and partnering with our colleagues to elevate and leverage everything we do. So I look forward how together as a community, as we follow that principle of taking care of our people and further taking care of Kentucky, we figure out how best to find that balance between work and life so that we can fulfill our promise to this Commonwealth that I know we all hold dear. I thank you because I know in your individual roles and your collective roles, you have helped this university, even in the face of a pandemic, maintain its ascent. We have many things we can point to that one can only do together and not alone. Accelerated and record levels of student retention and success. Record levels of external funding. To gather, for me, this was incredibly moving. You know, it took everybody to make this campus safe. Sunday afternoon, Mary Lynn and I attended Collage. And if you haven't been, you must go. It's holiday music performed by our College of Fine Arts, our School of Music. They're talented musicians, the students they teach, local performers and choral groups. Hundreds of people assemble on the stage at the Singletary Center and perform for a couple of hours. And I looked around. The performers, musicians kept their mask on when they weren't performing. The audience was fully masked. The house was full. And that joy of sharing a moment with others that we were able to do because we came together to do everything to keep this community safe. I know it gets weary when we talk about testing and masking and distancing and vaccines. But because of all those efforts, we're able to gather at special moments like that. And to me, it certainly put some balance back into my life. We have our graduation a week from today. We'll have 2 ceremonies. And in thinking about what people have experienced at this time, and hear many people speak of the trauma that stays with them, I have become more and more curious about what this means. And some of my readings have made me realize what trauma is. And that's that situation where one continues to relive a hard event. The person that may have been assaulted or abused remembers the name remembers the room in which that may have happened, and it's very difficult to escape. Those who are able to move forward can make it part of a coherent story and put it together in ways that help them overcome something that may have been horrific. COVID has had its share of traumas, and how are we going to get beyond it? Certainly being able to gather at an event like Collage, to me, is part of it, some normalcy in life. But I remain curious. I think it's something we're going to have to figure out for our students and for ourselves. I came across a study that began in the 40s. It seems after World War II, that generation of men who fought in that war, some of them had difficult experiences, their episodes of trauma. When they returned after a difficult time, and think of what they lived through, periods of a Great Depression in the late 20s, a world war where over 440,000 people died. Coincidentally, we've had 11,000 Kentuckians die of COVID. There were 10,000 Kentuckians that died during that era of World War II. So I came upon a study done at Harvard University where they began surveying that generation in the 40s. They took some Harvard graduates, but also took local citizens from Boston who didn't have the benefit of an Ivy League education. And they followed these hundreds of people through surveys every 2 to 5 years. In time, they started interviewing their families, and they even took physiologic measures. So they were trying to answer that question, what are those greatest predictors of a long and happy life? And, beyond what they knew wasn't entirely the case, and that's money and notoriety. So what did they find? To sum it up, it had more to do with your relationships with family, friends, and spouses. And that's what I think your focus on balance can bring us. And that is that heightened benefit from our relationships with friends, family, and this community we serve. There were some other simple findings that you would expect, exercise, don't use tobacco, and don't abuse alcohol. But they said these real keys to joy were more about these relationships and the love we can extend to one another. One researcher said, worry less about the cholesterol and more about those people who are near to us. So I know that's the spirit in which you undertook this time together. I thank you so much. I will pass on something else that I think is meaningful. We can't thank one another enough for what we've done to keep our community safe, keep this university open and serving all the many constituents. So I thank you from the bottom of my heart and the deepest parts of my soul for the service you've provided to this Commonwealth and the people who turn to us in hope, in a season of hope. You have my heartfelt thanks. So Paige, thank you. Thank everyone who participated in this. I wish you the very best of a happy and joyous holiday.